So welcome everyone. We are going to start the panel discussion, Making the Move from Academia to Industry. And I'd like to introduce the facilitator of this panel discussion, as well as the panelists. So the facilitator is Professor Julia Mendes from the Federal University of Juiz de Fora, Brazil. Julia is the Brazil representative of the WREN, and the panelists are Dr. Mainã Portella Garcia. Mainã is a principal materials and welding engineer at APA Group, Australia, and Dr. Erika Castilho Rodrigues. She is the head of assessment examinations at Galena, Brazil. So Erika, I did see that yesterday you changed positions, but yeah, I will let you talk about this if you want in your presentation. So Julia, I hand it over to you. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Marcela. Can you please ping me and Erika and Mainã? Sure. So good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our panel, Making the Move from Academia to Industry. Today we're having the pleasure of hearing from two accomplished professionals, right, who have successfully navigated the transition from academia to industry. Dr. Mainã Portella Garcia and Dr. Erika Castilho Rodrigues. They bring a wealth of experience and insights to our discussion, which promises to be very informative and very enlightening. As we explore the challenges and opportunities involving in making this leap from academia to industry, we hope to gain a better understanding on how to thrive in these new environments. So let's welcome our esteemed panelists. I won't be making any spoilers here, so I'll just ask them to introduce themselves briefly and talk a little bit about their career path so far. So starting here, Mainã, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Can you please come forward and let us know how the road has been so far for you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Julia. Thank you all the WREN committee for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here. I actually prepared 2 slides that I will try to go really quickly. So I'm not sure if I can, yeah, I can share, right? So can you let me know?
It's like very small to here.
Yeah, I'll try to put the presenter.
Yes. Perfect. You can see.
Is it the presenter viewer?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I will start very quickly. So I thought to put like slide explaining who I am, who am I, and it was really hard. Like I really struggled to define in one thing who I am. So I thought the center of me is where I'm from, my family. So I was born in Brazil, São Bernardo, lived majority of my life in Diadema, a city in state. For those who are not from São Paulo, from Brazil, São Bernardo and Diadema are cities in São Paulo state. My mom here in green and my dad next to her. Mama was a teacher. Both of them are retired now, and my dad was a boiler maker. I also have older sister here in black and a younger brother at the back here. I also, part of me is I love sports. So it doesn't matter where I am in the world, I try to do something. I think sport is a way for me to have contact with people, and that makes me really happy, not only to be healthy, but also to socialize. I have other interests as well. I'm really keen to learn about feminism. I love trying new things, travel, again, meet people. I think people is a core center of who I am and how I interact with people. And I like to as well be a change maker. I think that's really part of who I am. And just a bit more, like I'm married. I have a dog, the cutest dog, and I have a really good community here in Australia. I think I live in Australia now for the past 5 years I have been living here and just become a citizen. But I think the happy to be here is because I built this community of friends. Okay, so very quickly, that was personal, I guess, to understand who I am, but quickly about a snapshot of my career. I try to put these lines here to represent that. Of course, I'm going to show you here only the good parts of my career, but the idea was to show my career was not a straightforward line. There was downs and up and different speed, where sometimes I thought I was stuck, really in the same place, but it changed with time, right? So I think my career I chose to start here showing that I joined University of ABC, Federal University of ABC in Santander, materials engineering course. Had opportunity to do 2 scholarships, what we call scientific initiation, like a research fellowship. And I also worked at Avon, the makeup Avon factory in the innovation engineering department for 2 years. So this is just an image in December 2013 when I graduate. 2014, moving forward, I start my PhD also at the University of ABC in nanoscience and advanced materials. Was a collaboration with Mercedes-Benz. And I had a really good opportunity during my PhD to do to be a visiting student at the Cambridge, University of Cambridge in England. Here's just some photos of the group, the research group I was part in Cambridge. And finally, moving very quickly in my career, this is the end of my PhD in 2018. There was the professor's part of my thesis defense. And I think you can see, and you're going to see that most of the people above the line of my career are men. And I've been working with the majority of men. You can see in the research group here, there was only 2 other females. My entire career was around men. Anyway, 2018, I moved to Australia, where I am now. I joined University of Wollongong as a research fellow. I have been involved in a range of pipeline, high strength, and weldability research projects. Here's just some image with my mentor and my boss here in Australia. I also had a really good opportunity here in Australia to be part, and I was the co-founder of WREN, something that I'm really, really proud of. And it was the only, I guess, part of my career that I specifically work with women. So it's really special for me to have all these women working together. And then finally, this year, very recently, 2 months ago, I joined APA. It's a leading energy infrastructure business here in Australia as the principal materials and welding engineer. That is my career. I just want to put some things as well that is not there, but I think my career was driven by few things, opportunities, hard working, of course, but also privilege, luck in some points, and very important as well, mentor and sponsor. I think that's also related to lucky and some opportunities that I know is specific about my career and maybe not apply for everyone. Thank you. I hope that was not too quick.
No, it was great. You showed like a good background of your path and how like since the beginning you were already kind of interacting with the industry. So I think it will be giving us like a very good base to step on. Thank you, Mainã.
No worries.
And now I'm going to invite, thank you. I invite Erica. Thank you so much for being here as well. I know you're both very busy women. So can you tell us about a little bit of your career so far?
Okay, I try to share my. I don't know if this sometimes it's not allowed me to share. I don't know if
Emily, can
I think it's in my computer because it has like to allow. Okay, I will talk without sharing.
okay.
And that I can fix that for you. Sorry, I wasn't sure that you were. All right, let's give that a go again. Maybe co-host.
I think it's my computer because it sometimes it happens like that. It's not a problem. I will talk without sharing. I don't have any picture. It was really nice to see the pictures. So I start my career is not linear at all as well. I start doing my undergrad as a statistician. And since I started, I want to be a researcher, was like my dream job to work with science. I was very passionate about science since I was a child. So in the second year of the undergrad, I start doing research assistant with a professor from I studied at the University UFMG, Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais, and I start to work with probabilities. And then after my undergrad, I did my master's in statistics, and my PhD with the same professor was my first mentor of my life. He's a very good person. And then after I finished my PhD, during my PhD, I started working as a researcher in a university at Federal de Ouro Preto, where I I met Julia, and there I work with many different areas since I'm a statistician. It's a very multidisciplinary area, so I start to work with people from engineering, education, economy, biology, medicine, nutrition. So I work with a lot of different kinds of subjects, but I start to get really passionate about education and start to understand the data about education, how people learn, what make them learn faster, what kind of action of policy help children to learn. And in 2017, I started to work in a project about public education, especially elementary education in Brazil. We have a lot of problems in public education in Brazil, as you must know. And I started to work especially with inequalities in regard to race and socioeconomic status, how this kind of characters influence the learning path of the children. And if they are Black, how hard it is to learn, how this impacts the way that they develop in the public schools in Brazil. And then I started to work a lot of nonprofit in Brazil, a lot of with public sectors in Brazil, and it was really nice to see the research apply in the public sector and to see like the social impact that I could have doing my research. And was really exciting for me. And since then, I almost never stopped to work with education, say that education is a way that you go and you don't come back. Like you cannot stop doing anymore. And so I work with in this project for I worked for 5 years, almost 5 years. And during this time, I decided to change my career. I decided to quit the university and try something new in the industry. And was in 2012. And I was a little bit tired of something in the academia. I was thinking about trying new challenges in the industry. And I went to work in a company. We did assessments, all of kind of assessment, since little child assessment, like 3 years old, 4 years old in schools, private schools in Brazil, and and also entrance assessments to universities, and also assessment to people to apply for a job. And so all kind of assessment to, and my role was to evaluate the instrument that we use to measure if the people know something. For example, I have a logic assessment. Okay, these items, they are good. They are reflecting what I need. They are reflecting the ability that the person have. So I work with this from 3 years to like 40 years. And I worked in this company for almost 1 year. And then I went to a consultancy company. I will go a little faster. Okay, and I was in this consultancy company of data. And I spent some time abroad. I went to Stanford University to do a research fellow. I was a research assistant in the School of Education, work with public data. And then I come back, and nowadays I'm in EdTech and startup, and I didn't change my roles. I continued this startup, but now I'm a member of this fellows, and we have like a community of everybody that studied at Stanford School of Education, and now I'm part of this group of fellows.
Cool. Just letting everyone know that it was a blast when Erica left university, because it's a tenured position, like stable position, and it's very hard to get in. So it was my Pilates class that we do together, and the Pilates was, oh my God, Erica's leaving. So it was a really, really brave move that you did. So I'd like to talk a little bit about it now. I'll make some questions to the panelists now, but if the audience has other burning questions, feel free to add them to the chat, and we'll try to answer as many as we can in the time that we have. So my first question is, did you girls start your PhD with the intention of transitioning to the industry early on? If yes, what did you do during your PhDs, your doctoral programs, with the goal of going into the industry? And if not, what made you want to go into the industry after the academy? I think now we can start with Erica.
In my case, it was not my intention. I want to be a researcher, but then I think I need some new challenges. And I saw that the industry in Brazil was very close to the science. So this is why I decided to change.
Thank you, Mainã.
So I guess in my case, yes, I had the intention. Since I started my PhD, I was like, okay, I will do this PhD, but always thinking to go to industry. So my PhD was in collaboration with Mercedes-Benz in Brazil. So I started already my PhD with a collaboration in the industry. At the time was not financially collaboration. So Mercedes would not put money in my research. I had a CNPq fellowship. So it's a Brazilian Institute fellowship. But yeah, my intention was always to go to the industry. So I tried to, first of all, my PhD to have this strong connection with industry. And during my PhD, I always try to make some connections, people like networking with people in the industry as well, to help me on that transition in the future that I didn't know when it was going to happen. Yeah.
The networking early on, certainly it's a great tip. Thank you too. Now, the second question. Are there any academic skills or abilities that you think are particularly valuable in the private sector? Now, let's start with Mainã now.
Look, I think there are a lot of skills from academic that are will make myself like as a difference for me in the industry. I guess at the moment that I just start, so 2 months I start. So the first one is, even though I know sometimes I don't have the answer, but because of my academic skills, I know how to find it, or I know where to search or to get a paper, read a little bit about that information, and perhaps contact someone else. So I think all these know how to do or know how to find information comes as well from academic skill. And of course, in my case, because I'm a really in a technical position, all my technical background for academic, now it's very useful for the industry position.
I agree with you. I think the curiosity is a very different, and the courage to ask for a question that I don't know the answer. I think I'm very used to this in the research and in the industry. When we want to innovate, it's very important to have this courage. So I think it's very similar.
Okay, thank you, girls. Another question. What were the main challenges that you faced when transitioning from the academia to industry? So, does anyone want to start? Erica, start now.
Okay. I think first to enter, when I did the interviews, in some interviews, I feel like people are doubting me, like, oh, you are an academic, so you do things in another rhythm, and you will not be able to adapt. And then I have to prove that I could adapt. And I think the main difference is the rhythm. Like when I was a research, I have to be very precise in what I did. So I spent like 2 years building a model, and okay, I'm sure that this is the perfect model. And in the industry, I have 5 days to give an answer, and I need to find out the best answer I could give in 5 days. And I have to let it go from the perfectionism that I had in the academic life. So was very different, but it was very in the beginning, then I adapt.
Yeah, I think similar, like for me, was literally a shock. I knew it was going to be different. And I was super excited, but the first month was super hard, was just hard to adapt. Yeah, like people calling you, ask questions. It was something that I was not used to. I was not used to have a lot of meetings. I was not used to people calling me and ask technical questions. But the thing is, it's the challenge was I was not used to. So what I'm realizing is that I can get used to. I can, like with time, I know I'm starting to get a little bit more confident. But I think, yeah, this shock between industry and research project, I think Erica said exactly the same. So research, we had a lot of time to make sure we are on the right path, we have the best answer. And industry is really quick. People want the answer in the afternoon when they ask you in the morning. So it's really different timing.
Mm-hmm. And just looking into those barriers, those challenges, you're both women working on a very male-oriented workplace. And did you feel like was this a barrier to you as well at some level?
For me, like, is engineering, really heavy engineering industry. Yes. I mean, in the technical meetings, there's all male. And I think I face, questions like, oh, you come from academia, so you're not really, you don't have the practical experience. And I think when you're a woman, people are more comfortable in saying these statements. They are more allowed to say those things that make you uncomfortable. While if it was a man, maybe they would not say what they want to say. So yeah, I think that's a challenge for me to, when I'm in this situation, how I'm going to behave as well.
Yes, I think I had the same challenge. I usually work with men in majority of cases. And in some interviews, I felt like some guys, they didn't believe that I can code really fast. And in the interview, when I feel that there's some kind of this, I stop right now and okay, I don't want this job. I don't want to work in a place that I don't have a voice. And I think us women, we doubt ourselves too much. And I do this, I have imposter syndrome every day in my life. And I see this in a lot of girls that I lead. And as a leader, I see the difference is really clear when I'm working with a girl and then when I'm working with a boy. And they doubt themselves all the time. Like they have a negative, oh, I'm not ready for this. This is not a career. And the guys, no, I'm very good what I'm doing. It's perfect. And now I realize that it's very different. And in my job, I always trying to motivate girls to go ahead.
Very behavioral thing, right? Maybe the guy is not even that ready, but he feels he is. He has this confidence. Yeah, we could be more like that. Like we could be raised like that better. So we're actually mentioning about the job interview, Erika, and my one of my last questions here is about just that. When we were creating, or when you decided, like, let's go to the industry, let's move from our status quo. When you were creating your resume and participating in job interviews, did you have any difficulty converting or transforming your academic competences into competences that were valued in the private sector? And how did you accomplish this? And do you have any tips for our audience about the job hunting part specifically?
Yes, first of all, I like to study, so I studied the market a lot. Like I saw every YouTube, TED Talks, podcast. I had a mentor. It helped me a lot. I talk with a lot of people. I start to know how to ask for help. So I say that nowadays I don't have any shame to ask for help. Like I start to in the LinkedIn, oh, I don't know you, but I'm trying to change career. Can I talk like for 10 minutes and give some tips? And I do this a lot. I started doing that and I saw that many people were really eager to help me. And in regard to the abilities, I think some of them are direct, like the technical abilities. I think it's easier because I had a technical background, but the soft skills were harder to translate. Like I was a professor, so I knew how to lead people as a professor. I had some communication skills that I developed as a professor, but I couldn't translate this until I was in the company. This was harder, the soft skills, because people ask me, oh, you have leadership experience, and no, I lead like a research group, and oh, it's not the same, but it's almost the same. You are dealing with people. And then I realized it was very similar.
Oh, actually, what you said about reaching people on LinkedIn is very in line with what Professor Regina Beretta told about networking. Like she would go directly to people and talk to them and ask them if they wanted partnerships and stuff. And just a quick question, did people actually answer that? Like random people, you talk to them and then they sat on you like one-on-ones for 10 minutes? Was it a good response that you had from the people you sought after?
Yeah, some people they don't answer, but a lot of them they did answer. And especially when I say like foreign people, when I was in the United States, people are very open. Oh, I'm a Brazilian, I'm trying to do this. And usually people answer it, and even if they don't have like 1 hour, they, oh, okay, call me 5 minutes. And oh, it's enough. Perfect. The network helped me a lot. It was the main thing to do this change.
Amazing. Faith in humanity is now restored. Thank you. And Mainã, you have some tips as well.
Yeah, look, I think I had one very similar to what Vedika was saying, but I didn't reach out people, but I got people that I knew was expert in the industry, and I literally like saw in their LinkedIn how they wrote their abilities or what the keywords they used to describe themselves. And because I knew that it would be the position that I want to apply is very related to these people, then literally I get a lot of information from those people, CV, but it's not CV really, it was the LinkedIn. Another thing as well that really helped me that I asked as well, Edika, helped. So I sent my CV to my mentor, also to a colleague that worked at the university, but also had the experience in the industry here in Australia. I literally sent him the CV and the cover letter, say, please, can you have a look and rewrite if needed? And he literally, and was a person that actually rewrote a few parts for me, like, oh, you need to put this, you need to put safety, because safety, I guess, something in the research that we're not really, I mean, I didn't put in my CV that I'm aware of safety, and in the industry, there's a lot of attention to safety, and it was something that I was, oh, okay, I need to put this in my CV. And then, so was kind of like as well, not be afraid to ask help. Even people like don't need to be people you don't know, could be some like a friend that knows more about the specific country, if it's in another country or in the industry as well. But for me, it was a learning lesson. So I participate in like 5 different companies they apply for to get this job here in Australia. So it was like a learning progress. And then I always change something that I noticed that they ask in the interview. So I was like, oh, I'm going to put that in the CV now because it's something important. So you kind of like learn with time.
Trial and error and benchmarking. Yeah. Amazing tips. Thank you. Erica, do you have something to add to?
Yes, another tip. There are a lot of mentorship programs. They are for free. And I had a really nice mentor in one of these programs. He studied at Stanford, was a really smart guy. He helped me to build my portfolio all free and participate in events as well. And I started to go to events and introduce myself to people, even if I didn't know them. This was really nice for me.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Great tips, amazing tips. Marcela, do you have time for one last question?
Yes, for one last question.
Okay. Now, my last question is about my more, let's say, personal feelings. In terms of day-to-day life, your social, your financial situation, how, what do you think changed when you made this leap from these more like trivial day-to-day life experiences? Do you want to start right now?
Julia, sorry, I was writing about the thing here in the chat. What did you ask? What was the driven forces to change?
No, what have you felt on your day-to-day life, like social aspects, financial aspects, when you made this move? Like, what can you say for people to prepare for it?
So for me, financially was definitely something really good. So there was a big jump in my income going from the academia to the industry. So I felt really good on that. As I mentioned, 2 months now, but I felt really, really stressed from the first month I thought I was not going to be able to handle everything. I thought they commit a big mistake in hiring me, all those kind of feeling when you feel very uncomfortable. And I think we women, we learn to be that uncomfortable through our lives, and we don't like to be in that situation. But I think with time now, it's just only 2 months, but I think it's getting easier for me. So I don't regret. I'm learning, like my curve, like learning curve going to industry now, it's crazy. Like it's just because there's a lot more, the volume of information and thinking for me in the industry is a lot more than my comfortable research project that was before.
Awesome. Thank you. And Erica, what do you think as well?
For me, in the financial part at the beginning, I had to give like a step back and then to give a step forward. And then nowadays I'm almost the same financial. But in regard to my personal behavior, at the beginning, I was really, really scared because I didn't have any stability anymore. And I was really afraid to making mistakes. I remember the first mistake I did, oh my God, I'll get fired. And my boss said, are you crazy? Everybody do mistakes. And oh, I can believe it. And it was really good. But nowadays, I think it's really nice because I think I can be myself. And I have the opportunity to find places where I can be myself. Like I discover a lot of things that I didn't know. For example, I start in the industry thinking that I would love to be like a really specialist, like code every day. And then I discovered that I love people, that I want to lead people, and then I start to discover myself. And now I feel that I need to be braver, but I can be myself and discover like every week, oh, I can do this, I can learn this new stuff, and I can discover this new version of me like every week.
Oh, amazing tips. Like change is always hard, but I like that you girls gave us the motivation that it gets easier. It has a lot of benefits as well. So thank you so much for your time and your insight. They were amazing, amazing. And so that's it. Thank you again, Erica. Thank you, Mainã, for being here. Do you have like any last quick messages for the audience?
Oh, I'd like to thank you and be brave. We always are scared, but do it with fear anyway.
Yeah, look, I'm really glad to be here today. And I think there's a lot to be done. I mean, you should not just accept the way to be difficult for women. So like WREN is a good initiative to try to challenge what is already there. And I think Professor in the previous talk actually said, we need to do something, right? It's not okay for us to just become more like a man to fit in. We should change the way people behave and how we progress as well in our career. Other things should be considered as well in the progression, not just the way it was before. And the way it was before was made by men. So I think we women need to be on this space and try to change it for better.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much, girls. Marcela, hand it up to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Julia, Eric, and Mainã. That was really, really nice.